Hello. Today we celebrate Epiphany. In fact, what we celebrate is the sudden acknowledgement that the gospel of Christ is as much for the Gentiles as for the Jews. One might be forgiven for thinking, in fact, that the good news is more for the Gentiles than the Jews, since the Jews then, as now, actually rejected Christ as the Messiah and essentially left him for the Gentiles. Of course, that's not true. A gift for all remains a gift for all, whether or not all actually accept it. But I digress. Epiphany, the astonishing news that the gospel is to be given to the Gentiles as well as the Jews. Of course, now that's not surprising. Now we have a clearer picture of the Gospels than ever did the first followers. Largely, of course, because we have the Gospels. Back then they didn't. They had nothing but the words of the disciples and, as we hear today, St. Paul. Whereas we are hugely familiar with the story of the woman at the well, where Jesus is clearly speaking to a non-Jewish people, the first followers did not have that story. They may not have heard it. I don't even know whether St. Paul knew that story. That has been passed down to us by the gospel writers. The first followers were trying to piece things together in a way that we don't have to. They were following a way which certainly wasn't as clear to them as it might be to us. The Epiphany that we celebrate and recall today came many years after the events that we celebrated just a few days ago. The birth of Christ was 30-odd years before the events of Epiphany, and not only the birth of Christ, but also his death, of course. The followers of the Way had a long and puzzling history of Jesus to look at, and for some, those before St. Paul's work had already been following Jesus for several years. The journey had been slow and long, and at times exciting, others tedious. And then, boom, Epiphany to the Gentiles. This event was shocking to many Jews and caused argument amongst the disciples themselves. It seemed to be a change of direction, a direction that God simply hadn't gone before, a new and unexpected road. Well, I was getting myself ready for a service the other day, packing my little leather bag with the papers and books I would be needing, along with a face mask or two and some sanitizer, when out of the darkness fell a small shell, which landed at my feet. The shell is a simple clam shell. It's about the size of a 50p piece and it's white, and I can't remember now where I picked it up, some beach somewhere or other a few years ago. But I do remember that I kept it as a reminder to myself that I am a pilgrim. I am on a journey and I don't necessarily know where I'm going to. What I do know is, as a pilgrim, I'm not there yet. One idea that shell brings to me is that the journey, like all journeys, will be full of surprises. I might be surprised by events, but I must not be surprised that I am, and the shell reminds me of that. But we are all pilgrims, on a road we hope leads to salvation and to Jesus. It is a long road, my friends, and even a cursory reading of the letters of Paul reminds us that following Christ is not an easy thing. It's a path that was for a very great number of years denied to us Gentiles, but the work of God through St. Paul changed that. The way of the people of God is now our way, our pilgrimage. We are all people of God. As pilgrims of Christ, we are all on the way, all on a road that leads us closer to God. But we should not be surprised if events change, if the road is blocked or altered to suit some other purpose. Sometimes, I'm sure, events can happen which God just uses rather than causes, and the use of surprise events by God can be so disruptive that we, humans, must take time out to take stock and refine the way, to rest a while and refresh before continuing our pilgrimage. In other words, sometimes following Jesus is just exhausting. This year might be such a time for us. Who would have guessed this time last year that 2020 was to be spent the way it was? And who can say what this year of 2021 holds? Will we be in lockdown or will we be free? Will the vaccine work or will it fail us? All I can assure you is that the journey continues and Jesus continues to walk with us. Following Christ is as valid and important to us now as it was when Paul first preached it to us. Nothing has changed there. I wish you all the best for 2021. I wish you renewed vigour for the way ahead, renewed relish for the path opened us by Paul. But if you need to rest a while, weary traveller, then do so. You are no good to man the beast if you are empty yourself, and empty and tired is not how God would have you be either. Look after yourself and look after each other, and be mindful that whilst some run and some rest, we are all pilgrims. All blessings for 2021 and a happy new year to you. Amen.